students, today's agenda is to check homework. We'll be learning about average rate of change, and you will be able to do 6.4. Today, students will be able to calculate the average rate of change of a function within specified intervals. And this is the formula for the average rate of change is a of x equals f of b minus f of a over b minus a. But what does that mean? And how does it relate to the slope formula? M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I would like for you to compare the structure of both of these formulas so that once we're working with the average rate of change, then you can kind of see the relationship. Before we start applying the average rate of change formula, it says sketch a graph of f of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 8 using technology. And so we're going to go to Desmos.com. I noticed that in the last video I didn't really let you see, so I'm gonna make sure that I let you see what buttons I'm pressing. So what I'm going to do is put x squared minus 2x minus 8, so x squared minus 2x minus 8. Okay, so I use the a square to put the square. Once we have this graph, we're going to go ahead and use it in here. I'm going to have it separate so that I can move it around and so you can look at the graph. With 2 fingers you can expand it or make it smaller so that you can zoom in. Then if you touch it, some gray points come on, and those are going to guide us to be able to graph the parabola. So it's going to be at 1, negative 9. That's for the vertex. 1, negative 9 will be right here. So that's my vertex. And then we have 0, negative 8. That's the y-intercept. 0, negative 8 is right there. And then, even though it doesn't appear in here, we can actually put a point of reflection right there if you wish, but you don't have to. And we also are going to include the x-intercepts. So they are right there, negative 2, 0, and positive 4, 0. Okay, so let's connect those dots, more or less. Okay, and then we're going to be using our formula. And then it says calculate the average rate of change within the following intervals. So in here we have negative 4, x is greater or equal than negative 4, but less or equal than 4. And because it includes the negative 4 and the positive 4, another way to annotate that it's with the brackets, negative 4, comma, 4, and close the brackets. It's the same thing if you're talking about this. This is basically the domain because it's talking about the values of x. And we saw in 6.3 about the domain. Okay, so when we are saying find the rate of change between these 2 points, it means negative 4 is in here. And because we didn't draw that line, it's going to be a point somewhere over there. The other one is 4, which is right here. So basically the rate of change is between those 2 points. That one point that we can see and this point right here. How do you find the average rate of change between those 2 points? For the function that we were given, it's f of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. When we're talking about b and a, this is going to be a, and this is going to be, this is going to be b. That's what it refers. Or if this type of notation, then this is a and this is b. And so what we're going to do is substitute this value into our function. So let's say f of a, meaning this value, will be that value, negative 4 to the second power minus 2 times a again, which is negative 4, minus 8. So basically to find f of b and f of a, we just substitute these values or these values that they give us into our equation. And that's going to give us f of x, meaning the value for y. Basically, remember that f of x is the same as saying y equals in that function. Okay, so I know it might be getting a little confusing, but all you have to do is get that first point, that value of x, substitute in here so that we can find y, basically. And so negative 4 squared will be positive 16 because negative 4 times negative 4, positive 16. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8, and bring down the negative 8. When we have a positive and a negative, the same thing, they cancel each other, and so the answer is 16. If you notice, that was the value for x was negative 4, and that means that positive 16, which is probably going to be around here, will be in this curve or parabola. Now let's find f of b. F of b, now we're going to substitute the 4 into the equation or function, and so it's 4 squared minus 2 times 4 again minus 8. Okay, again we're just finding the value of y when x is positive 4, and so 4 squared is 16, negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, bring down the negative 8, and then in here we have negative 8 and negative 8 is negative 16, but we have positive 16, that's 0. Or the other way to see it is 16 minus 8 is 8, minus 8, 0. Okay, so now we see that f of a is 16, f of b is 0. Okay, f of a is 16 and f of b is 0. Now we can use the formula for the average rate of change. And so we say a of x is equals to f of b. What is f of b? Well, that's what we found in here. F of b is 0. Minus f of a. What is f of a? 16. Over b. What is b? Is this value right here, which is 4. Minus from the formula. And then we have negative 4 for a. In here, 0 minus 16 is negative 16. When we have two negatives together, we always say that we have the big plus. And so 4 plus 4, 8. We divide that, and negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2. So the average rate of change for this between these two intervals, it's going to be negative 2. What does that mean? And again, I don't have that other point to be able to compare, but you know that it's negative 4, positive 16 over here. Between that point and this point right here, basically the slope is negative 16, positive 8, and negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2. So if we think about what we mentioned at the beginning, it's just looking at the slope between those 2 points, between the points that are formulated of those 2 values for x. Okay, we were working with a point that we can't really see. Let's look at one that we can see. Okay, here it says to find the average rate of change between negative 2 and positive 1. Now we can see that because those points refer to this point, negative 2, positive 1 will be this other point. So what is the rate of change between those 2 points? Okay, let me write the formulas first so that we have everything all in here. Okay, so the average rate of change formula is f of b minus f of a divided by b minus A. Again, B and A are these values that they give us for the intervals. This is A, this is B. Sometimes they give you those intervals as bracket, -2, and 1 bracket. It just means the domain is -2 and 1 between those 2 points, okay? The domain between those 2 points, which is -2 and 1. What is the change of rate? The average change, because it changes differently from here to here and from here to here. But the average between these 2 points, what is it? And so again, at the beginning I told you that how to analyze how is this related to the slope. Remember that the slope is y2 minus y1, meaning the value of y or change on y over x2 minus x1. Notice how in here these are two values for x. So that's your b and a. B minus a. x2 minus x1. How are these y2 and y1? Well, it's because you're replacing the values of that a, meaning -2, into this equation to find the value of y. Okay, so f of a, just replace this is a, this is b, or a and b. So just replace that first value into the function that we were given. So it's -2 squared minus 2 times -2 minus 8. -2 squared is +4. -2 times -2 is +4. Bring down the -8. 4 plus 4 is 8. Minus 8 is 0. So f of a is 0, meaning the value of y is 0. Now we're finding the other y value. And so f of b will replace the value of x in here so we can find the value of y. So this is basically y2, and this is y1, okay? y2 and y1, if we were talking about the slope. So b is 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 8 equals 1 squared is 1, -2 times 1 is -2 minus 8. 1 minus 2 is -1 minus 8, -9. Another way to see it is -2 and -8 is -10, but then you have one positive. -10 and +1 is -9. Now that we have f of a and f of b, we substitute those in here and these values in here, okay? So let me write the formula again. The average rate of change is equals to f of b minus f of a over b minus a. What is f of b? F of b is -9. Minus from the formula, what is f of a? F of a is 0. Over, what is b? B is all the way over there. B is 1, a is -2. So b is 1 minus from the formula, and then a is -2. So minus from the formula, but then -2. Remember that when we have two negatives together, we have the big plus. And so -9 minus 0 is -9. 1 plus 2 equals 3. And -9 divided by 3 is -3. So this is the average rate of change between those 2 points. Okay, let me bring it together. If you notice in here, the slope between these 2 points is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, -9 over 3. -9 over 3. And by finding f of b and f of a, we were finding y1 and y2. So this is y2, minus y1 over x2 minus x1, because these are the values of x between the 2 points. Now, why is this not the slope? Because we're talking about a slope that it's between those 2 points of a line that is not there. And that's why it's called average rate of change, because it's different at different, if we were, this is 1 secant, but then there are many tiny secants in here if we were doing for different, between other 2 points, between this point. Between these 2 points is different than this one. Between these 2 points is the rate of change is different. But together, the average rate of change between these points is -3. Okay, for number 3, I already wrote the function, the average rate of change formula. The intervals is between 0 and 4. Again, remember that it can be written as between 0 and 4. We are talking about the values of x. And so 0 and 4 refers to this 0, meaning this point, and 4 will be this point. So what is the average rate of change between those 2 points? Okay, again, it's average rate because in reality the changes are different between many different points in here. Even some parts are negative, others are positive, and some are more inclined than others. Okay, so average rate of change, that's the formula. Again, the first thing we want to find is f of a and f of b. This is a and this is b. And so we find, by replacing x, we replace it with 0. 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 8. 0 squared is 0. Negative 2 times 0 is 0 minus 8. And 0 minus 0 is 0 minus 8 is -8. Okay? For f of b, we replace 4. So 4 squared minus 2 times 4 minus 8. 4 squared is 16. Negative 2 times 4 is -8. -8. In here we have -8 and -8 becomes -16. So 16 minus 16 is 0. So now we have the values for f of a and f of b, meaning y1, y2 is the same thing as y1 and y2. And now let's apply this formula. Let me rewrite it in here. F of b minus f of a over b minus a. And that's for the average rate of change. Okay, so f of b is 0 minus f of a, -8. So minus from the formula and -8, you have to put both of them. You have b minus a, 4 minus 0. 4 minus 0. And then you have negative and negative become the big plus. So it's positive a divided by 4 minus 0 is 4, which gives us 2. A divided by 4 is 2. So this is the average rate of change between those 2 points. Again, for the slope, if you notice, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is that right there, over 1, 2, 3, 4, that right there. Again, this is just the average rate of change. Remember that if we were looking at more close individual points and saw the rate of those, it will be very close to that average. Okay, with this we end our lesson. If you can please give us a thumbs up, subscribe around here. This is the link to the playlist for this unit, and here you will find the next lesson. Now you're able to do 6.4 and have fun.